Hello, my name's John Hudson. I'm the Head of Department of Social Policy Social Work at the University of York, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our virtual Open Day. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for showing an interest in our degree programmes too. Now in this video, I want to give you a very general overview of the department, what we do, what we're about, and how we teach. Our admissions tutors have prepared separate talks that cover details of different degree programmes. And if you want to ask more detailed questions, there is of course an opportunity to do that during our virtual Open Day. We also have lots of information on our website, including detailed information about the structure of each of our degree programmes. I'd like to begin by going back to the very start of our department, because the ethos of our department reflects its origins. We were founded more than 50 years ago in 1966, and we began with just 6 students. We were a small department in those days, but we were a very important part of the vision for the University of York, which had been founded just 3 years earlier in 1963. On screen now are pictures of 3 people who are very important in this story. The first is Professor Kay Jones, who was our first head of department. She laid down the path our department has travelled along since, bringing together different social science disciplines in order to apply scientific knowledge to some of the most pressing problems that society faces. Next to her is J.B. Morrill. He was key in establishing a university in the City of York. For many years, he was chair of the Joseph Rowntree Social Services Trust, who funded the purchase of large parts of the early campus. The Trust's primary focus, though, was on advocating for social justice, and so it's no surprise that part of Morrill's vision was that the university should have a strong focus on social progress, producing knowledge that could contribute to a fairer society. Our department was established to nourish this part of the vision. This directly links to the third person on screen, Joseph Rowntree, whose fortune funded the Joseph Rowntree Social Services Trust. The Rowntree family were hugely successful business leaders who were deeply committed to social justice. Their values shaped much of the 19th and 20th century civic life in York, but their impact was felt far beyond the city. Their pioneering example shaping social reform across the whole of the country, particularly in terms of creating fair working conditions and decent housing for working people. They had a profound impact on the early social sciences too. Joseph's son, Seaborn Rowntree, conducted what was arguably the world's first scientific study of poverty, undertaken in York and published in 1901. And today, the Rowntree family's legacy still has an important influence on our work and that of many other scholars in the field, particularly through the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, which is based in York and supports a lot of important research and advocacy around questions of social justice. So the department started in the spirit of these founders, bringing together academic knowledge from different social science disciplines, applying it to social problems, and aiming to make the world a fairer place. But we've moved well beyond the department of 6 students that started in 1966. Today, we're one of the biggest and most prestigious departments of our type anywhere in the world. This year, there'll be around 1,000 students engaged with the department in some form or another. And we have around 90 staff in the department today too. Now, we regularly undertake research for policymakers and for high-profile and campaigning organisations, reflecting the significance and the scale of what we do. On screen now are the logos of some of the organisations that we've undertaken work for in recent years. It includes local organisations like the City of York Council, national organisations in the UK, many government departments for instance. It also includes campaigning organisations such as Shelter or Oxfam, but it also includes many international organisations. We've undertaken work for organisations such as UNICEF and the OECD, for example. And it includes governments outside of the UK. So for example, on screen we have the logo of KIHASA, the Korean Institute for Health and Social Affairs. One reason we regularly undertake research for policymakers and high-profile campaigning organisations is that our work is known to be of a really high standard. Our research has been assessed of world-leading standard by the QS World University Rankings. In 2019 and 2020, in fact, they placed us in the world's top 10 for social policy administration, which is something we're incredibly proud of. The UK government also regularly undertakes formal assessment of research quality, and in the most recent exercise, the 2014 REF, the department was ranked very highly in our field. Joint first, in fact, in the UK for the impact of our research, and third overall for our research quality. Over half of our research was deemed to be world-leading. That's of the highest possible standard. Now, we undertake this research in a wide range of areas. On screen now are our 7 key research themes. These include a number of different policy areas: criminal justice, children, youth and family, welfare and employment, global social policy, health and social care, housing and mental health. Even without giving you detailed examples, you can see just from the list of research themes that there is a real broad range to that activity. But what unites all of those different strands of work is that they all focus on analysing real-world issues, thinking through issues around policy delivery, and ultimately asking, how can we improve policy outcomes? How can we contribute to social progress? Now, the reason I wanted to introduce you to our history and our research strengths is that the quality of our research and our historical legacy directly inform our teaching. We can see this in a number of different ways. Firstly, we can see it in the wide range of degree programs that we offer. Now, I'm not going to run through the detail of all of our degree programs, but on screen now you can see that we offer a large number of programs across a number of different specialisms, including criminal justice, social policy, public management and policy delivery, social work, and then broader cross-subject social science degrees. Some of the degrees are only offered at postgraduate level, so they're there for those who've already completed a first degree. But in all areas apart from public management and policy delivery, we run undergraduate degrees too, including degrees in social policy, social work, criminal justice, and applied social science. The breadth of our expertise means that if you were to study with us, you join a department where there are students studying many different but related subject areas. This, we believe, allows for the best of both worlds. Each of our degree programs is small enough so you can get to know all of those studying the same degree program as you, but you'd also be part of a much bigger department where you can meet like-minded people without being overwhelmed by scale at every encounter. But a second way that this background is important in shaping what we teach is that there's a very strong connection, a nexus, between teaching and research in our department. Our aim is to undertake world-leading cutting-edge research that feeds directly into the classroom. This relationship is evident in a number of different ways. But one of the most obvious ways it becomes evident if you study in our department is that the textbooks that you will read have often been written by people in the department. There are some examples on screen here right now. So for instance, in the area of criminal justice, two of my colleagues, Lisa O'Malley and Sharon Grace, have written one of the key textbooks in the field, The Short Guide to Criminal Justice. In the area of social policy, several colleagues have written key textbooks in the field, including my colleague Zoe Irvin, who co-authored the best-selling book, Understanding Social Policy. In the field of policy analysis, one of the main books that we use is Understanding the Policy Process, which I co-authored with my colleague Stuart Lowe. Or in terms of research methods for social work, my colleague Martin Webber edited the textbook, Applying Research Evidence in Social Work Practice. Beyond these books, there are many other instances, particularly for our options modules, where the cutting-edge research we are undertaking for real-world organisations feeds into our teaching in the classroom. In my own work, I've been able to use research undertaken with organisations like UNICEF and bring the data and the analytic tools from that work right into my own teaching, helping to bring to life issues around the analysis of child poverty and inequalities in child well-being, in addition to being able to share insights about how UNICEF advocates for change. So if you join us, you'll benefit from being in an environment where we're leading researchers in our field, but we also have a passion for teaching, constantly aiming to bridge the two. But at York, we don't leave that connection between teaching, research, and our historic mission to chance. We've very carefully designed our degree programs to ensure that these links are in place. I'm not going to talk through all of our different degree programs in this presentation. There's detailed information on our website and course-specific presentations from our admissions tutors too, and you can of course ask questions at our virtual open day. But I do want to explain the broad approach that informs all of our undergraduate degrees. What all do is they all aim to deliver 4 key outcomes. The first is to give you the key skills you need to succeed in your area of study. This might, for instance, be key skills around research and analysis. The second is to give you a grounding in the core social science disciplines that are relevant to your study. At the outset, our department drew together expertise from a range of social science subjects and applied them to real-world challenges. Our degrees reflect this ethos today, introducing two key themes from a number of different disciplines. The third is to provide some deeper specialisation in your specific area of study. This comes through core modules that cover the most important areas of knowledge for your specialisation, and option modules where you can choose where to focus your attention. And finally, all of our programs include an element of independent study. Typically, this involves a research project in your final year where you'll work closely with one member of staff on a topic of your own choice. What this means when you bring all of these elements together is that our programs have a spiral model in which we ensure that you have the foundation skills you need, build your core knowledge, make sure you have complex knowledge from deep specialisation, and then finally, we aim particularly through the independent study project to get you to bring all of these different elements together in a holistic manner. Now, detailed program design documents are available on our website, and they show how these broad principles translate into practice. Central to these is consideration of the learning outcomes a graduate will achieve. Now, each degree differs somewhat, but I want to finish my presentation by distilling the broad outcomes a typical graduate from the Department of Social Policy and Social Work leaves with. We think graduates from our department leave with 7 key dimensions of learning that enhance their career options. The first is skills around critical analysis. You'll be able to look at real-world issues and think very critically about whether the information you're being given is correct, whether an approach that's being suggested is sensible. Secondly, you will leave with skills around data analysis that will be more specific and technical, allowing you to interrogate information as a social scientist. Data takes many different forms, but you'll be trained in how to analyse different types of data. Thirdly, all of this will have a real-world application because whenever we talk about how to analyse issues or analyse data, it will be through the lens of understanding real-world social issues. Fourthly, you'll have knowledge of key policy debates, and likely you'll leave with knowledge of key policy debates across different countries, because we don't just explore the UK, we look across nations too. And if you're studying for a social work degree, then you'll have a firm grounding in practice issues too. Fifth, you'll leave with skills around working in complex teams, gained through collaborative work that we undertake in the classroom. This is essential because the complexity of challenges in contemporary society is such that they can only be addressed by complex teams that bring together people from different backgrounds. Sixth, you'll be ethically aware. Before we let you undertake your own research, for instance, we ensure that you've reflected carefully on the ethical consequences of your research. That's embedded into our approach. But being ethically aware is much bigger than this. It's about consideration of your actions and the impacts they'll have on a wider scale. We'll encourage you to reflect on this in a deep way. This links to the 7th and final dimension. Our aim is that all of our graduates leave the department equipped to contribute to social progress. You should leave the department with ideas about how you might want to make the world a better place and how you might contribute to social reform. And really, that is the ethos of the department encapsulated in a nutshell. That is what our founders wanted us to achieve, and it's the vision we aim to live up to today. So that's it from me. Thank you for listening. Please do check out the presentations from our admissions tutors on the specific degree programs, and do please visit us at the Virtual Open Day. A reminder too that there's a lot of information on our website. I hope this has provided you with a useful perspective on who we are, our heritage, and what we aim to achieve. I do hope that you choose to become part of our story too, and that we'll see you in person at the University of York in the future.